Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bad Fanfiction Night. I am your host, Remy McNeil. Joining me, as always, is the wonderful Twilight Guardian.
Hello.
Today, we are continuing Connect the Stars, right? That's the name of it?
Yes.
I don't think the stream is running yet.
Oh, it'll
definitely
give it a
connecting
minute.
the dots
I
here.
swapped it over. Don't worry. Just give it a minute to tick over.
Yo, I'm gonna
I'll
keep
refresh,
it real
I'll
with you.
refresh.
We don't call it that here.
Otherwise known as Ratfic 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Okay, we're fine.
All right, we are live?
Yeah, we are. I just had to refresh. Sorry.
Okay. making sure. You never know.
We're still live.
Last time, we followed the adventures of Kiara, the star of the original Ratfic, having been sucked into the world of A Bug's Life, and now she is basically biding her time, becoming a part of the ant colony, waiting for Flick to use his ant technology to develop a time machine thing to get her back home, which he understands the concept of and can build.
With sticks and leaves.
Listen, this guy, he once tried a tunnel within a tunnel project. You know, he understands quantum physics to a certain degree.
I would only buy this if this thing was featured in like Kingdom Hearts. Otherwise, it's just the concept is foreign to me.
Speaking of, this fanfic crossover with Kingdom Hearts, am I right?
Yes, it does.
Oh.
It does cross over
Yep.
with Kingdom Hearts.
Well, that
Oh,
makes
boy.
a modicum of sense with the time travel stuff like
Oh,
that.
I'm not ready.
All right. Well, we'll get underway with the next chapter here, The Spy. We're looking at about a read time to an hour and a half. Friendly reminder that I and Twilight are the priority speakers. So basically, when we are speaking, we expect you guys to be quiet. We like your comments, quips, and conversation, but gotta keep in mind that we do want to get through the fic at times. So we'll try and just have a nice balance of that. So yes, with all that said, let us begin. The Spy. He crouched, unseen among the bark of the tree. So long as he didn't move, it was unlikely any of the ants would spot him. Not that he felt like moving yet anyways. Today had brought all sorts of rare sights, such as witnessing the partial collapse of an ant tunnel network. Is that really so rare?
I mean, how often do you see it?
Well, I'm also not the size of an ant, so, I mean...
So,
Well, it is a rare
Little
sight.
things in life.
I mean, usually we don't collapse them. We just put like hot liquid metal in there until
yeah, I was
they all
gonna say,
die.
we just do one of those
Yeah,
videos on
liquid
YouTube.
aluminum.
Yeah.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, you guys should try it. It's cool. I had a friend who did that.
Even stranger than that was the tiny ant-sized human who was still being grilled by the superiors of the colony. Only one of the ants, Prince Consort Flick, seemed to be trying to reason with them and convince them to take it easy on her. Kiara was younger than Katie had expected. After first seeing Katie had expected after first seeing her earlier that morning when he was sneaking towards his spy spot. You could tell it was a spy spot. He put little tape around it and everything. He had little binoculars set up. He just has one of those like tourist binoculars set up on it. He has to put a coin in every time he wants to go spying.
Listen, time traveling, it ain't cheap, all right?
Nope.
She looked very close to his own age. Being shrunk to bug size, she wasn't as monstrous as humans tended to look. Wait, she looked very... How do you know? How do you equivocate that, Katie?
he just does. He's just got a feeling, you know.
He
It's just a
glanced
vibe.
to the side. Despite his spot being mostly safe, the ants still sent a patrol to check up and down the tree, at least once per day. They would be coming soon, and he had to leave. Extending his wings, the young cicada took flight, first up to the boughs of the tree, then pointed himself north. The hideout was more than a half-mile up the river from Ant Island, a sturdy march for a grasshopper to do in under an hour, but a brisk walk for a cicada like Katie. All right, so is it every 21 years or something like crazy like that? So like
we're not concerned about that. We're not
okay.
concerned about that.
That's the third film. That's the third fic. It's where the army of cicadas come up rising from the dirt like a zombie apocalypse. The hideout was a little more than a shallow hole dug into the side of the riverbank, above floodline during rains. The abandoned nest of some animal, now inhabited by what was left of Hopper's old gang. The two guards barely looked up when Katie returned, too absorbed in their card game. Inside, the other grasshoppers weren't much better, all in varying states of idle chatter, activity, or napping to pass the time. Except for the ones who attended the new leader of Hopper's gang. Who attended the new leaders of Hopper?
Attended.
Except for the ones who attended the new leaders of Hopper's gang. The cicada woman, lounging in a chair, holding her drink aloft while it was refilled, sat up and splashed the grasshopper who was pouring it when she saw Katie. "There you are!" she crooned, flying over and giving her son a kiss on both cheeks. "Darling little Katie, back so soon! You must have something very important to report." The sharp tips of her fingers dug into his face, just a little. "The air tunnels collapsed, exposing a section to the air," Katie reported. "And I saw Kiara." "Fantastic! Shakira?"
Shakira. Last week I read ahead and I forgot that I had named her that. And I was fucking laughing.
How do you forget a name like Shakira?
I wrote this a year ago.
Okay, fair
took
enough.
us that
You wrote
long-
Excuses.
It took us that
wrote-
long to get through the Ables.
Yes.
Oh yeah, right.
Shakira turned around to the second new leader of the grasshoppers, further at the back of the den, working on a strange map. "Did you hear that, my love? We found Kiara!" Chippendale turned, his teeth barred in a grin. "About body time!"
Bard.
Barred. Bared.
Also, the voice you gave Katie, I'm wilded over it.
I'm not very good at the Beavis and Butthead voice, but I'm giving it my fair game shot.
It's
Oh
so,
dear.
it's going to be so interesting later on. If you
Oh!
hear that voice.
Oh dear.
Who wrote this?
Don't worry. By the time we
Me.
get there, it'll be another session, and I'll have completely forgotten what voice I gave Katie.
That is
Woo!
true.
That's part of the fun.
Right. Shadow the schemes. Katie didn't hide his grimace as Chippendale approached, after Katie had given his full report. He cringed from the grasshopper-sized chipmunk as he reached over a heavy hand and dropped it on Katie's head a couple of times. Even shrunk down, he was still as ugly as any chipmunk Katie had seen. Behind Chippendale, tied up near the maps he was always working on, the other human he'd stolen, named Kieran. He was sleeping for now.
Remember that Kieran exists.
Right. Kieran was a friend of Kiara's.
Haley's friend. Not even Kieran's
Oh.
friend.
Oh!
But he's here. He's alive.
I
He's
can't
a
wait for
thing.
Kiara to be like, "Oh, Haley, we've saved you." And I guess Kieran, I guess he's here.
I had no idea that Kieran was a boy. I thought I just automatically assumed that it was a girl.
Yeah, it's a boy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I assumed
Plot twist.
there was a girl because I assumed there was a fancy I want to be unique way of saying Karen without spelling Karen.
That's a very Karen move.
Haha.
Well done, lad. You'll be a chip off Hopper's block yet, based on everything your mother told me, Chippendale said without an ounce of sincerity. This is the golden opportunity we've been waiting for, Shakira said, and began to drape herself around Chippendale. With their tunnels collapsed, the ants are completely exposed. We could strike now and make them all bird feed, just like they did to my boyfriend. Her eyes glittered. Oh, I see what's happening. This is The Lion King 2 all over again.
There you go.
Oh
Hey!
no!
I was wondering why the name was familiar.
Guess who's Kavu?
Listen, if Zach gets to copy this movie, I think these guys get to copy another Disney movie.
Moopa, stop referencing movies I haven't seen since they were released.
Oh, watch the movies.
That's your fault, right?
Yeah. Sounds like a
Sounds like a
skill
personal
issue, my
problem.
guy.
Yeah, skill issue.
As marvelous of a plan that is, love, it's actually not. She pouted, drawing back. What do you mean? Their tunnel being collapsed means the ants are now on high alert. He reached into a coat pocket and pulled out a cigar and lighter. They won't go down easily unless their spirits are broken first. Them and the circus troupe, both. And Kiara could escape in the chaos, and you wouldn't want me to lose my own chance for vengeance, right? Of course not. She was clinging to him again, and Katie had to roll his eyes and look away. It was the exact same way she had acted with Hopper. What should we do then? I think it's high time we stopped having Katie skulk around and instead have him actually do some undercover work.
Here's some antennas and some extra legs. Dress up like an
He
ant.
already has antennas.
Well,
He's
that's
a
what's
bug.
funny about it is that, like, you know, they're like ant themed antenna and ant themed legs. So he still
Oh,
has
I
all
see.
the legs, but he's
I
like
wanted
just
to do ant face. I got
yeah,
it.
he has to do ant face. So it's just like he has like 4 antenna. He has like 16 legs. It's just like,
He's
ah,
making
yes, I am
something.
ant. Hello, fellow ants. How are you all doing today?
No. For the proper disguise, he would have to rip off a pair of his arms because in the movie, the ants have like 4 legs.
No. In the movie, the ants have 2 legs and 2 arms. They're very humanoid.
Oh,
Yeah, four
Yes.
sets, 4 limbs, and the grasshoppers have 6 limbs.
Yeah.
right.
Watch the movie.
This would be very painful.
I remember loving both of the movies, but I always remembered liking ants a lot better because they were more anatomically correct.
I never liked ants.
I never saw that movie.
I don't.
I saw it
I
once.
remember
Yeah.
watching both films. I do not
think
remember
I-
which I preferred, but looking back on it, Ants I think has aged the most poorly with those faces.
Yes. Well, also the comedy probably didn't age all that well either.
Nope.
Because
No.
of Woody Allen or other reasons.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be Woody Allen, but yeah. Also, the comedy just wasn't very good to begin with, probably.
Yeah, I
was
remember,
weird,
um,
especially
the movie
compared to A
Double-
Bug's Life. Like I watched that movie for the first time in years, like a couple of years ago, and I was shocked by how fucking hysterical it is. Like that is a
Yes.
funny goddamn movie.
Mhm.
Oh, the dynamic with Hopper and his brother is hilarious the entire
Oh,
way
yeah, that's
through.
Not even that.
Yeah.
I'm talking more about like everything with Flick and when he's interacting with the circus troupe. That shit was fucking hysterical.
Yeah,
Also,
I remember
Kevin Spacey.
watching. Sorry, I've been watching Ants on Cartoon Network when I was very young. I remember I kind of just like lost interest in the middle of the movie. And I just thought like Bug's Life was better. Like I just kind of like.
That sounds like the Ants experience I remember.
Yeah. the ultimate competition of what aged more poorly, Woody Allen or Kevin Spacey.
The only cool thing
I was gonna say,
was,
like, you never had to take Woody Allen seriously, and he was always supposed to be laughed at times. So, when it comes down to it, I think Kevin Spacey lost that game.
like the only cool thing I remember in Ants was the cool fight against the. I think it was termites. Like they went to war with the termites. There was a badass battle scene, and then like.
Wait, what?
That was the part that I really hated in the Ants movie because, like, watching as a little kid, that was really scary and disgusting.
Oh,
And
yeah,
like,
it was
I
all-
wanted
Oh,
to
I thought
see
it was
more
cool.
Ants,
A
please.
teenager and I found it.
There's a war in this movie?
Yeah, there
Oh.
was.
Yeah,
Or
and
both of them,
you know,
really.
you know the
Civil War
movie
fine.
that's like secretly or very subtly a criticism of the military-industrial complex.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. I might actually check
The
this out.
movie
Really?
the movie was very anti-military because the main bad guy was a general,
It was
and his whole
anti-military.
plan was to kill off the main part of the colony that did all of the work and then replace them with nothing but soldier ants.
That was,
Bruh.
It was,
it
a
was
pro,
very.
I don't think that's gonna go very well for you,
anti-military, but
Chief.
pro monarchy. So you gotta pick your poison.
Yeah, if you've never
Anyway.
seen the fight scene, just imagine like Starship Troopers, but the people are ants.
Here's the real question: which one aged even more poorly, ants or the ant bully?
I don't remember the ant bully.
I've not thought about the
That's my
ant
point.
bully
See
for a
that
hot
Well,
one.
minute.
considering the
Bully was-
Ant Bully came out, what, 10 to
Several years later.
10 to 15 years afterwards and has been swiftly forgotten by time, I think we know.
Probably.
Yeah.
I remember
Anyway.
it. Not very
Anyway.
well, but I do.
Anyway,
Let's
anyway.
continue
I remember the
on.
book more than the.
Shh. What? Katie asked. Join the ant colony. Be another visitor for them to house. He pointed his cigar, stepping a bit closer. Get close to Kiara. Get close to her, and you'll be getting close to Flick. From the sound of things. Then, when you get the chance, you'll be able to kill the bug who murdered your dear old daddy yourself.
Wait, I'm sorry. Isn't this kind of
reading.
like Lion King 2?
What
We've
did I
literally
just
said
say?
that. That's what started our whole conversation. Not 5
We
minutes
got there
ago.
eventually.
Somebody who's been here the whole time, like, what did I miss?
Yeah, I'm
What I miss?
very slow. I have the attention span of a chimpanzee. I am so sorry.
You have the attention span of an ant, man. Come on,
Welcome
get your
to-
analogies right. Come on, gotta stay on theme.
On point.
Also, I'm
Mr.
just I'm
Mixer
looking,
Mixel in the chat said, "Did Retro have a Biden moment?" No, that's a different president, not the one who got his ear shot off and therefore didn't listen.
Oh, boy.
I might as well be.
All right,
I
all
might
right.
as
That
well
was
have had the Biden
that was a
moment.
security. That was a reach. That was okay.
Raymond, shh. Hopper wasn't actually Katie's dad, but it didn't matter. That was what made me laugh. By the
The
way,
immediate contradiction, like, he's not really my dad.
yeah. He was the only dad he'd ever known. Katie's mouth was set in a grim line. Okay, I'll do it. Good lad. Then, once Flick is dead, all the ants will lose their nerve, and you, Shakira, will be able to restore the natural order of ants serving grasshoppers. Much better than killing them all and leaving nothing. Shakira smiled wide. And without the ants beside them, those circus freaks will be outnumbered and we'll be able to destroy them easily. You're a genius. I know, the two huddled closer. We'll need to come up with a plan for getting Katie into the colony. And for making a good impression on Kiara. She flicked her hand and Katie began to turn and leave. Just a minute, boy, Chippendale said. Imposing on the ants' hospitality will require a good explanation. One that tickles their sympathies.
I don't want him tickling
There's-
anything.
They're soft for bugs in danger, after all. He was grinning again, teeth clenched around his cigar. A tremor went down Katie's back.
God, whenever Chippendale and
Shakira?
sorry, I was like, it's some variation of Shakira, but I can't remember what it is for some reason. Shakira and Chippendale. I'm thinking of that scene from DBZ Abridged, where just Nappa and Vegeta on the bug planet. Oh, I kind of want to call back, but that would just take too much time. Now instead, I'm going to reference something else because the 31st century is the title of the next chapter, and all I'm thinking now
Sure
is
is.
Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century. Sherlock, same wavelength, right there.
I really hope you forgot again.
No, I know, I remember, I know where this is going. Basil and Radigan stepped out of their time machine and into an alleyway. That's a statement. Basil started at a world shrunk down. I for some reason my brain is not registering words. Basil startled at a world shrunk down. You get used to whatever size you become after time traveling. Don't worry, Radigan told him, adjusting his gloves. Won't the humans be alarmed if they see 2 man-sized rodents walking about? Radigan chuckled. Of course not. This is the distant future, my old rival. So distant that we're positively mundane. Here, they'll just think we're aliens. Radigan went to a nearby dumpster and began to pull out large rotted sheets and other pieces of garbage. And where exactly is here? They call this city New York. We're in America.
New York.
Oh, New York. I thought that was a typo. My brain read over it.
No, it was
No,
very
it's-
intentional.
It's like New York from Doctor Who.
Oh,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Which season of Doctor Who was that?
Ninth.
One of them.
Yeah, it
don't
was
know if
it was
it narrows it
Rose's
down.
it was Rose's run.
Just.
It has been a while for that one as well.
God,
So it
Raven,
was
get on the
Eccleston,
ball.
Doctor.
They call this city New York. We're in America, on top of the ruins of Old New York, which is, of course, just New York in both our and Kiara's time periods. He draped the garbage over the time machine, spreading and patting it around. And we can find the device we need here. Indeed, I happen to know of a scientist in this era, an inventor of particular note. If we can convince him to create the device for us, then we'll be able to find Kiara with ease. Or if he doesn't agree, he'll have enough spare technologies in his labs, we can steal and invent it for ourselves. Basil.
Is this Meet the Robinsons?
No.
I think
No.
it's something else.
No,
Yes.
leave them
Okay.
alone.
I'm
Stay away
glad
from
you've all
them.
forgotten.
I know where this is. Basil glared sharply. Not saying that's our best option, but if worst comes to worst, just lead the way to the scientist. Rat again. With only a bristling of his shoulders, Radigan proceeded out of the alleyway and Basil followed him. A towering metropolis made the world enormous again. Skyscrapers in impossible shapes, flying cars and ships crowding the skies, and people and automatons and monstrous beings dressed in strange fashions. Try not to look so much like a tourist, Radigan muttered. He walked briskly down the street, Basil jogging to catch up.
Oh dear.
Where and who is this scientist we're looking for? His name is Professor Farnsworth. He runs a delivery company called Planet Express, and he lives on the company's premises. The Planet Express building turned out to be a brick-red structure, an arched rectangle with a tower capped in a sphere, reminding Basil strongly of an observatory. Inside the reception area, the walls were bare, with a few bits and odd ends of exposed pipes and machinery. Behind the reception desk, a pink-shelled man with tentacles for a mouth and lobster claws for hands slept on his chair, snoring loudly, a newspaper resting across his chest. Radigan cleared his throat, and the lobster man started awake. "Oh, customers," he said in a thick accent. "Welcome to Planet Express, where our crew is irreplaceable, but your package isn't. What can we deliver for you?"
Your crew is replaceable, Raymond.
What?
You said
Replaceable.
irreplaceable. It's replaceable.
Some of us may die, but that is a package I'm willing to send.
That's their motto.
So I gotta appreciate New York. That's hilarious. Oh, it's just fun. Basil wrinkled his nose while Radigan spoke. "No, I'm afraid we're not here to hire you for your delivery services. Rather, we have a special request to make of the professor, and we'll be willing to compensate him for his help." Well, the professor doesn't... I've lost his voice. Damn it. I always do this.
Zoidberg is lower. I'm gonna go.
Zoidberg. Well, the professor doesn't usually take his commissions, but I'll call him and ask. The lobster stood and waddled his way towards the phone at the end of the desk. He then lifted his head and made an ungodly screeching sound. "Good Lord, Zoidberg, what do you want?" A hunched and withered old man appeared after a few minutes, the door seemingly sliding on its own to reveal him. He's here, the illustrious Professor Farnsworth, Zoidberg introduced with a flourish of his claw.
Right.
So glad you got to have the first turn with the chapters doing the story arc.
Yeah,
in Futurama.
I love doing the voices. It's so much fun, even though it's a hell on my voice. And
Be sure to
evidently,
drink water.
I'm having brain problems. Billy Donuts in the chat. Woo!
Billy,
Just
bringing all the
don't
donuts.
think of it.
Really?
He was here a long while ago. Apparently, I haven't been looking at chat.
No, he's been handing out donuts.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I haven't. I just didn't notice him. So
Yeah.
Don't think if it makes you feel any better.
Someone
Your
read the
brain
chat?
isn't as. Sorry.
Ooh.
I was just gonna say, Celtic, if it makes you feel any better, you're not as cognitively dissonant as me. I just like it took me so long to pick up Bug's Life connected to Lion King too. So like, you're not as bad as me.
Even though that we directly mentioned it.
Yeah,
And I just did it again.
Details.
you just weren't listening. Is what happened. It's not even cognitive dissonance. You just weren't listening.
I guess I wasn't.
Unmute yourself.
Zoidberg also wasn't listening.
Dwight, you ready?
Oh,
It's your turn.
sorry.
Did you think I was just chilling out, taking a break?
Just hanging around.
He's recuperating.
Don't worry, no more bad fan
after
fiction.
all
Now we're
these
just
impressions.
this is the vibe stream now.
It's live stream with Zoidberg now. Oh.
I keep forgetting that these chapters are so short. I was
I
looking
know.
at chat.
We are painfully in dog. Like we're so used to exorbitantly
Traumatized.
long chapters. We have been spoiled by this fic now.
Yes, yes.
Thanks, Jeremy.
It's not even that. Like even before Jeremy came around, we got Mike Hand sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Oh, to be fair, with Mike Han, I think you had a higher hit rate with stupid shit and funny shit happening, and
Mm-hmm.
him being unintentionally horny.
Yes. Absolutely ridiculous, Professor Farnsworth declared. Please, Professor, you're the only one who can fulfill our request, Radigan reasoned. They had been allowed deeper into the building, into a hangar area where a massive spaceship was docked. They sat at a round conference table, Basil and Radigan on one side, and the professor standing on the other. Nearby, the professor, other employees of Planet Express stood patiently listening. You're right, but that doesn't make it any less ridiculous. Farnsworth took a lecturing pose. Time travel is impossible. Everyone knows that.
Don't worry about any of the episodes in Futurama where they travel through time. Don't even think about it.
Well, no, this is actually like because of how, with the Simpsons setup where everything resets at the beginning, like they typically don't have that much of continuity. Although
Well, they do have
Futurama-
actual continuity.
I was gonna say Futurama does have more continuity, but like it's not out of the ordinary for like this kind of conversation to happen, even though time travel has happened.
If it didn't have continuity, I would have dropped it a long time ago. I can't stand watching stuff without continuity for a long period of time. It just doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
But we're not asking to travel through time. We're just asking for a temporal locator. Just something to find someone in another time and place. Surely that's not beyond your capabilities, right? Farnsworth paused to consider. Perhaps yes. If you're only looking to date an object or a sample, project its place of origin, that could be doable. We are, of course, willing to compensate you handsomely for helping us in this endeavor, Basil put in. Deal. Professor. Professor, you need to ask how much they're willing to pay before you agree, the Cyclops woman with purple hair admonished. Oh, yes. How much? As a starting price, we would be willing to pay you What is it?
3
Three.
pounds?
Yeah, I
Oh.
was like, wait, no. That's what I was thinking of
pounds.
initially. Was
Yeah.
like it was a different set. I was like, no. 3 pounds. Basil made an impressive show of taking out his wallet and laying the 3 banknotes on the table before them. He and Radigan then sat back awaiting their approval. Farnsworth glared at the money and then back at them. Is this a joke? Basil's jaw dropped. Sir, that is good money there. No one uses pounds anymore. These are worthless. He picked one up and examined it. Not to mention they have a picture of some fat mouse lady printed on them. He tossed the bill back on the table with the others. Well, if you don't have any real money, you'll have to compensate me in another way.
Oh no. No. I'm fucking
Gas,
John
grass,
Bernthal
grass.
right now. No. No.
Wait. No.
It's not our fault. It's not.
Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, if you want to know why Raymond reacted that way, don't forget that if you want to, you can subscribe to his Patreon. You can get access to the.
That was an admirable attempt, but awful.
Yeah, I flubbed it.
Nah, it's okay. It's okay. You kept going.
No, actually, I have a problem where I can't really think ahead when I speak.
Nah, you're fine.
Oh, she got phone called.
Oh no, not the phone call.
So I guess we're just lingering on that note where we're all like
Oh,
wondering
man.
the implications.
Drawing hair
This
sucks.
is like leaving us in suspense.
You're a couple of rats. You go to a scientist for help. You don't have the money to pay him, so you can pay him with some certain favors.
Ooh.
Pinky, I
would-
know what we're gonna do today.
We need you
Oh.
to dress up as a host and work at our host club. Kiss, fall in love, motherfuckers.
Yeah,
I
we have an opening at Chuck E. Cheese.
With the crew of like Nim, with the crew of Nim 9 or whatever Futurama is, be about that.
the
Hmm.
crew of Planet Express?
Yeah.
What did you
Okay,
call them?
back, sorry.
Mem 9.
She's alive.
Oh, I read ahead a little.
All right.
Oh, planet. Got it.
Another way, Ratigan tested. My crew are about to set off to Planet Nim 8 for delivery. If you go with them and assist with the job, then I will consider that fair compensation. Sir, we don't have time to set off on a voyage. We need this done as quickly as possible, Basil said. Oh, pish-posh. It won't take that long. You'll all be back within 30 minutes. He waved a dismissive hand. Basil and Ratigan exchanged looks. I suppose, if it really takes less than 30 minutes to get to the planet and back. It's decided then. Farnsworth clapped his hands together. You two go with Fry and Leela, and they'll help you get ready for the journey and put you to work. The device will be ready for you when you return. Hop to it. While Ratigan was sullen, the two rose from their chairs and followed the Planet Express crew.
The illusion of choice.
Motherfucker, it's my job.
Tell me.
Not anymore.
You slow old man.
And you crossed the damn line.
Sorry, not sorry. Pixie back.
You get the cry emoji for having poor old Yuki there.
Oh.
Look at the sad mouse rat.
That's
The
what happens when you
illusion
try
of
to pay
choice.
with British money.
We'll be landing on planet Nim 8 shortly, Captain Leela announced. Basil and Ratigan sat at their ease in the ship, looking at the portholes to space. The professor had been right. They barely finished loading the several dozen boxes into the ship's cargo hold and settled themselves before they were already halfway done with the errand. You see, Ratigan, it's not so hard to just do the right thing, Basil said. Ratigan rolled his eyes. Hey, our fruitcakes! Instead of making Google eyes at each other, why don't you get back down and prepare for the hold for your offloading? The robot named Bender said, playing a game of poker with the human fry and cheating excessively. Both men scowled but got up and moved below without complaint. The boxes were a hard material, somewhere between metal and stone, with small holes poked along the tops of them. They all had fragile written on the sides, and several locks were keeping the lids in place. What sort of creatures are they transporting? Radigan asked, turning one box a little and putting his ear to the rustling sound inside. I can't imagine they're for a zoo, with so many of them and the beasts inside sounding so small. Maybe they're for a pet store, Basil hypothesized, shifting a pile. Rabbits or something. There was a clicking, something metallic, and Basil whirled. Radigan, you can't open someone else's mail! Radigan didn't respond, staring into the box. Put it back already! They're not rabbits, he said quietly. What? What? They're not rabbits! He tilted the box towards Basil. Look! Inside, an unsorted mass along the bottom of the box were rats and mice, as small as they normally were to humans. They crowded in the corners and slid against the smooth walls. Perhaps rats are popular pets on this planet, Basil said slowly. I'll just pop upstairs and double-check who we're delivering these boxes to. They're for some big lab, Captain Leela answered, once Basil and Radigan were in the main cabin again. You know, for experiments and stuff. They're going to do science with them. The two men took several steps away. Look, even you can't seriously expect me to just hand these rodents over, Radigan said in hushed tones. I'm not sure I can do this in good I'm not sure I can do this in good conscience either. Well then, Boy Scout, what should we do? I'm thinking. Basil patted desperately for his pipe and struggled for a moment to light it. If you want my opinion, we were only strictly told to come along to help with the delivery. If the rodents were delivering just so happen to escape as soon as they land on the planet, then it's no fault of ours, and Farnsworth said he would have the temporal locator ready for us by the time we returned, so... Basil grappled at his hair. Radigan, if we get caught, then we simply won't get caught. Radigan leaned in closer. Do the right thing, Basil. Don't let our fellow rodents be subjected to a life of torment and experimentation. Basil held his gaze, the tobacco burning low in his pipe.
Oh dear.
Radigan just went, nah, I'd win.
I guess, but this is actually kind of interesting to see this interaction. It's not that bad.
I am legitimately enjoying this. Like the ant stuff, not so much, but like so far, the idea of Basil and Radigan having to this is a good crackfic energy.
I mean,
did you not enjoy the ant stuff because it mentioned teenagers and periods and interspecies relations with insects?
No. See, I
it's
found
just
that
because of
shit
Kiara.
hilarious. I found that stuff hilarious. Like the thing that I didn't like about it is that there were so many characters to keep track of that I didn't care about.
Well, also, you don't really remember them.
Well, that's why I don't care. If I remember them, I probably would care a little bit more.
Watch the movies.
Oh yeah, I'll just stop in the middle of our stream right now. Go sit down and watch A Bug's Life.
Yeah, let's have a movie night and get your channel banned for copyright infringement.
Well, apparently you can do it on Twitch.
Raven, let's go to Twitch.
It's like an Amazon Prime thing.
Yeah. When doing right goes very badly. Oh dear. Basil and Radigan hung back with the boxes while Captain Leela and the rest of the crew spoke with the aliens, finalizing the delivery and collecting payment. The aliens had the look of studious camels, but with 10 fingers on each hand, tentacled lower halves, which they slithered about for locomotion. The two had purposefully unloaded the boxes under the shadow of the far side of the ship. Ready, Basil? Radigan asked. Basil waited until Captain Leela and the lead alien were shaking hands. All right, now. Their hands darted among the boxes, unlatching upending them. Scores of rats and mice scurried out, weaving through the grass before disappearing into tall bushes. Once all the boxes were empty, Basil and Radigan straightened their coats and moved away, rejoining the rest of the crew. Thanks again for choosing Planet Express for your delivery needs, Captain Leela said. Indeed. Take us now to the boxes, that we might place them in our facility, yes. The alien at the front of the group said. The others all murmured and nodded in agreement. Right this way. Basil and Radigan prepared their excuses and reasonable explanations, following from the back. But when they all rounded the corner, their well-thought-out alibis went slack with their jaws. In the bushes where the rodents had disappeared was suddenly the beginnings of a primitive society, buildings constructed out of branches and leaves.
Holy shit!
Oh.
Fucking rats
They're
work
taking a sharp
quickly.
turn.
No! Cried the lead alien. The hyper-intelligent rodentia have escaped.
I thought there was going to be a twist. Like my thought was going to be they run off into the wilderness and be like, "Ah, yes, we finally got all the rats that we need for our rat rehabilitation program. We're going to give them good lives and happy homes and everything." It's like, you let them loose? No, there are wild Zornknars out there, and you just hear these vicious like rats being torn apart sounds like out in the grasses.
No. See, what I thought was going to be a twist was, no, these rats carried some sort of plague, and we were going to do science on them to find a cure, and now you've infected this entire planet.
Dang.
Ratzilla.
The what now? Bender asked. The hyper-intelligent rodents that we developed on NIM 7 before we had to abandon that planet due to their previous escape, yes.
Oh, that's even.
These rats sure seem to escape a lot, Fry commented. We must all evacuate immediately, yes, before they...
Sudden violence.
I didn't even... that. I was just realizing who these characters were.
Oh, him?
Why is there sudden silence?
Sure.
I think Twi is recovering.
Sorry, I just got a knock at the door.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Oh no!
It's the
Something
rats.
unpopular.
Yeah, no, that was just a dinner call.
Oh, okay.
Real life, am I right?
I know, right? It's so
it's the rats.
inconvenient.
Ugh. Sustenance. I mean, really.
Man,
I know, right?
All,
Just-
all I need is a bad fan fiction. What's food? Nah.
I feast on cringe.
God, if cringe were like an actually viable food source, we'd be fucking good.
World hunger would be over.
I know.
There would be no hunger.
The rest of his sentence was cut off after he was shot through the head by a very small gun.
Oh. Whoa.
In the moments they had taken their eyes off of the rodents again, their society had advanced several stages, and they had organized themselves into an army. Death to the camels! Yelled one large rat leading the charge. The camel aliens turned and fled, the rodents bearing down after them. In the distance towards the city, chaos erupted, multiple spaceships taking off as some of the building exploded and burst into flames. Excuse me, sires, a small voice squeaked, and Radigan and Basil looked down at the mouse at their feet. The mouse read from a scroll. We recall the kindness you showed us in enabling our escape. Statues shall be raised in your honor, and you and your companions are granted safe exit from our new planet. It bowed to them. I must go now, and you all shall be going too. We have much to do to make this planet civilized for rat and mouse kind. With that, the mouse scampered off.
For all the
Wow. Usually it takes at least another 10 minutes before our deliveries go this badly, Fry said. Another explosion sounded in the distance. Well, we already got paid for this and this planet is done for, so unless we all want to get caught in the crossfire, I say we vamoose, Bender said. Basil and Radigan were silent as they sat on the ship. You know, I really didn't think, Radigan began. Not a word, Basil bit out.
You know, Moopa,
Wait, how did that?
what really impresses me is you perfectly captured, like, the mood of a freaking Futurama
Yes.
episode there. That is, like,
Yes,
1-to-1
yes.
what would happen.
Perfection.
Also,
Absolute perfection.
yeah, but the real irony is that like the title was kind of bait because the crew was just like cool with it, and they got paid, they left.
I mean, they didn't do anything.
Need for refinement. Haley sat in an armchair in Radigan's apartment, nursing a cup of hot cocoa. Why did I say coca? It's cocoa, anyway. A book lay open on her lap. She occasionally looked up at the space the time machine normally occupied. When Radigan and Basil returned, it would be to that exact spot. Another cheese crumpet, dear! Miss Judson appeared at her elbow with a tray, steam still rising off the pastries. Thank you, please. Haley smiled gratefully. She held out her small plate as Mrs. Judson piled 3 more crumpets on it. There was a sudden whirring sound, and the time machine faded into existence, Radigan and Basil standing within. Haley jumped to her feet. You're back! Did you get the temporal locator? Indeed we did, Radigan said, holding it out for her to see. It looked like a large handheld radar or an overly sized Game Boy. At a rather steep cost, Basil muttered, glaring at the wallpaper. Thank you for going to so much trouble, Haley said, hugging them both. Not at all, Radigan said. Now we just need to turn the device on, and soon we'll be able to rescue Kiara. And Kieran. And Kieran, yes, who's probably in the same place as Kiara. He turned the temporal locator on, and the screen lit up, the antenna on the end vibrating with a soft buzzing sound. It displayed much like a radar, pinging softly. On one side of the screen, text began to move, from the bottom to the top. Radigan pursed his lips. Well, what does it say? Well, what does it say? Hang on, the professor left us some instructions. He took a small slip of paper out of his inner coat pocket, along with a pair of reading spectacles. It says here that for temporal locale information to be displayed, a proper parameters must be inserted into the device first, or else it will simply default to reading its current time and place. The device must be calibrated with this information, which will take a minimum of 1 hour depending on how much base information is given for making the parameters. Meaning? Quite obviously, we need a sample of Kiara's DNA. If the last fic had ended how Kira had wanted, you'd have no shortage of that available. I could go back to my house and pull some hair from Kiara's brush. No need! I've got some in a locket.
Oh.
Oh, oops! What did I knock over? Oh, one of my miniatures fell. Oops. Sorry, up there, Inori. I'll go pick you up in a minute. Sorry, I couldn't. Oh, that was so perfectly timed. Radigan produced said locket from another pocket. He really rocked it. Put it in a socket. I don't know. I just wanted to continue that. Everyone in the room stared at him. What? I thought you were over my sister. Haley's eye narrowed behind her glasses. I am. I made this memento before I had, well, come to grips with reality. And yet you didn't throw it away, Basil said. It's come in handy, hasn't it? Glowering at everyone, he opened the locket and pinched out a few strands to feed the temporal locator. And now we wait. They had enough time for the afternoon tea and to catch up on various personal affairs before the temporal locator alerted that it had finished its calibration process. I kind of wanted, insert there, it's like, Personal affairs, such as discussing why he hadn't gotten rid of the locket and whether or not he may still be sexually attracted to a human that should technically be several times his size.
And also much younger.
Yep.
Rat ears.
Yeah, well, if not that, then God help you when Chris Hansen finds you.
It made a drawn-out beep before returning to its pinging rhythm. Right, let's see what it says. Radigan picked it up again, using the buttons on the side to navigate the information scroll. Uh-oh. What's uh-oh? Basic asked sharply.
Typo, why?
Basic the mouse. The device is a little broad. He turned it so they could all see the display and rapidly increasing scroll of information. Right now, it's picking out every instance of Kiara's existence throughout time. He studied the readings again, rubbing at his chin. We'll have to recalibrate to narrow down the results, which will probably take some hours and even longer for us to parse those results to determine which ones are relevant to our needs. Basil groaned, pressing a hand against his brow. That's almost as bad as if we were traveling to likely times to search for her. That's almost as bad as if we were traveling to likely times to search for her. Okay, that was a little mouthy. Almost, but not quite. Radigan looked to Haley apologetically. I'm afraid it'll still take a good while before we were able to find your sister and your friend. Haley took a deep breath. Anything I can do to help, just let me know, all right? We're all in this together. Radigan and Basil exchanged glances. Yes, of course. And those glances were, this girl's going to be useless to us this entire time. God, that look was, God, you are such a load.
All right, guys, I'm
Spells
back.
we can throw her overboard or use her as a human shield.
I gotta head to bed, guys. Good night.
Night, man.
See,
Good night.
Symptoms.
Good night.
Kiara stood holding the nurse's tray and clipboard, trying not to let her mind go numb. While all around her the doctor spoke with patients, did house calls and administered aid, Kiara was one of the few who had nothing to do with that. Even the other assistants, who were often students, at least looked interested in what the doctors were saying. Kiara, take this to the pharmacist, will you? The nurse said, handing her a slip of leaf with messy writing on it. Right away. It was a little better than when she was acting as Gopher. She took her time, walking down the tunnels to the pharmacist's office. When she arrived, Francis was sitting at the counter, talking with the head pharmacist. Oh, hey, kiddo, Francis said with a wave. How's doctor's life treating you? Could be worse, she shrugged. She held out the order slip for the pharmacist. Nurse says she needs this. The pharmacist's eyes scanned the order. Ah, I know the patient they mean. Sit tight. I'll have that ready for you in a few minutes. With a sigh, Kiara climbed onto the stool next to Francis while the pharmacist disappeared through the back door. How about you? Enjoying your vacation? Ah, yeah, it's great to see the little tykes again, Francis said. They've all got so big, you know? Right, yeah, the blueberry troop. I heard about what happened from Manny and Gypsy. Ah, Kiara winced. Don't worry. I'm the last person to lecture anyone about anger issues. You wouldn't believe it by looking at me, but I used to have a major temper. I definitely get why Manny and Gypsy said probably set you off. Thanks. Really, it wasn't until I realized why I got angry so easily that I was able to start managing my temper better. What it all came down to was these deep-seated insecurities I'd developed from being misgendered all my life. And so to compensate, I felt like I had to perform masculinity by being overly aggressive. Huh.
I am
Kiara-
so confused.
He's a ladybug.
He's a ladybug.
Oh,
That was the whole point of the movie.
Wasn't she late? Oh God, I don't.
Francis is a
Francis-
guy, but he's a ladybug, so everyone automatically assumes that he's a lady.
Right. Sorry,
That's why he's in the circus.
using the modern term misgendered just threw me for a goddamn loop.
Got
I thought
those
this
modern
was
terms.
Completely random characters like, okay, good to know. Next.
Kiara suddenly began to crane her neck, looking to see if the pharmacist was coming back yet. Anyway, a lot of problems go deeper than the surface, and treating the symptoms instead of the illness isn't going to get anyone anywhere. He rests his elbows on the counter, peering up at Kiara. I'm sorry about your parents getting divorced. Really, I am. But are you sure that there's nothing else going on? Something deeper about the whole situation that's making it hard on you?
I'm just blindsided by first. So anyway, how is your sex life? And also like that kind of energy with the whole like, oh, I'm sorry about the divorce that's happening.
Yeah.
And and also like, what's deeper? Anyway, continue.
Oh my gosh, Kiara groaned and started rubbing at her temples. I swear, I've headed up to here with insects trying to play therapist to me. Francis opened his mouth with a trilling sound. When a trilling sound came from above, they all paused, looking at the ceiling and listening to the horns. The trilling repeated again and again. Fire, Kiara whispered.
Firewall.
Dun, dun, dun.
Kiara finally invested in NordVPN to get the firewall option and the extra upgrade.
Fine, that's fine.
Oh, let me take a sip here. We'll probably go 1-2 more chapters. Does that sound good for everyone?
Yeah.
It has been a quick hour. It has been surprisingly
It
fast.
really has.
Short chapters.
Kiara ran with the other
Looks
medical
like-
ants as they gathered in the hospital and were handed packs of emergency supplies. Everybody topside now. A grass fire has broken out, Dr. Flora was saying over a megaphone. Our other departments are working to get the blaze under control, but there aren't ants up there who need our help. Hurry! Kira shouldered her pack and sprinted single file with her group up the tunnels to the exit, passing other groups and fearful ants trying to take shelter. At the top, the area nearest the anthill was safe, but just beyond it, thin columns of smoke rose. A faint heat rolled onto them with the breeze. For humans, it would have been easy to stamp such a small fire out, but the ants had formed lines reaching from the edge of the fire to the river, passing small buckets hand to hand. The circus troupe were helping as well, the flying insects among them taking buckets and storing above to upend their contents. From the thick of the fire, other rescue ants were leading or carrying the injured from the site of the disaster, giving them directions or having them lay down at a safe distance from the fire before administering aid. Everyone realized, wow, since Kiara showed up, this is like the third disaster that's happened. What is happening with her being here? Mr. Soil stood on a rock above the others with his own megaphone. There are still workers caught in the area where the fire started. Not everyone has been accounted for yet. Please be safe. But please do your best to find those ants and get them out of there. East Quadrant has been confirmed for being clear. It's the West Quadrant that we have to search for possible survivors who still need help.
Oh, Kiara has a body count.
Yeah. I mean, she also has a body
Okay, first
count.
the cave-in, now arson. What is she gonna do
I know.
next?
Just add ticks to the Geneva Convention right there.
The Geneva Convention.
That wasn't the funny thing. Anyway. Each group soon formed their own lines, one group entering the disaster zone at a time as yet another exited. Remember your training, stick together, and watch out for each other, Mr. Soil continued. Kiara took a deep breath as her own group took its place at the front, ready to run in. As a relatively inexperienced trainee, she knew she wouldn't be expected to do much except provide support to the others. The fire shifted and darted like an orange snake in the grass. When the ants in front of her started moving, it took Kiara a moment to remember why she was there and followed. Her group avoided the hottest parts of the fire as it navigated an invisible path, a basic circuit. She dragged her arm across her forearm, sweat shining. Over there! The group's leader pointed to where an ant sat huddled under a leaf. looking around with wide eyes at the fire around her. Stay close behind me! Reaching the stranger meant leaving the somewhat safer path they'd been forging. Kiara stepped lightly from foot to foot, around that bend of grass, over its stick, and then... Kiara gasped sharply as she jumped back, a piece of burning grass falling from above. It landed gently in front of her, but she reeled and retreated from the new source of heat. When she looked up, she was able to squint through the flames. The rest of her group had already collected the injured ant and were hurriedly evacuating through the closest safe path, away from Kiara. Cred, she whispered. Oh.
Flame and shadow. Kiara turned and started backtracking. She'd either find her way out of the flames or another rescue team would find her. Back to the path they were originally on, around that bend, and then... No, that couldn't be right. That pebble was unfamiliar. Back again, to the left this time. Yes, this was better. Except, did that blade of grass always split that way, curling brown at the ends? She paused to take a deep breath and coughed on the dry heat. Better now to stay
dry
put.
Heat.
Haha.
That's a old ass Jeff Dunham reference. Anyway.
No one got it.
Better now to stay put and wait for the others to find her. Only the fire seemed closer by the second, as if it were running away from the efforts to contain it, running more fiercely around Kiara, snapping and licking its maws. Her head whipped around and she darted for the clearest corridor through the grass.
She suddenly found the fire sexy.
The corridor bent and wriggled, but it seemed it was leading out. It was leading out, up until the end of a sudden blaze. Her view wasn't clear on the other side, but she managed to pushed through the grass anyways. The flames mocked and raced, hurting her. She paused in her running, doubled over, gulping and heaving. She raised her head to wipe her forehead, only for the skin to stick. She wrenched it away, and her hand was bone dry. That's not good, she whispered, voice cracked. She managed a few more steps before her head swam. The fire was too bright, her limbs too heavy, her feet chafed and raw. 1, 2, and a half step before she collapsed. She rolled onto her back, dry tongue darting out to dab at parched lips. She hadn't started this newest disaster, but she'd been powerless to help. She couldn't muster the moisture to dampen her cheeks.
She would later learn that she did indeed start this newest disaster.
A shadow stepped over her, much taller than an ant, but not as tall as a grasshopper. Kiara reached towards them. Who are... I'll tell you later, the shadow answered, his voice clear and bright. He grasped Kiara's hand with 2 of his own, and used the other 2 to lift the rest of the way up. He cradled her against his chest, and the surrounding fire and grass were a blur as he sprinted. Through the heat and choking dryness until suddenly green overtook orange, and the air became cool again. Kiara! Several voices shouted at once, and she was crowded. Kiara, what were you thinking wandering off from your group like that? You could have been killed, Mr. Soyle said. You better come straight back to the hospital, dear. You need treatment right away, Dr. Flora said, holding her wrist. Kiara, I'm so glad you're safe, Flick said, moving to the front. She managed to nod, unable to tell if the heat on her face was external or internal. Keep it near your pants, girl.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Queen Ada flitted down from the sky, standing by Flick and holding an empty bucket. You have our thanks, stranger, but who are you? She addressed the bug-carrying Kiara. He had a black carapace with striking orange patterns and wings, and vivid red irises. Call me Katie, he said. Katie, huh? Thorny said. And where exactly are you from, Katie? Have you all lost your minds? Dr. Flora said. She moved around Katie and started pushing him forward. We can ask questions later. Right now, these bugs need help. She maneuvered them past the crowd of worried ants and circus insects, back towards the anthill. Kiara glanced up at Katie. While she was no judge for insects, she thought he must be very close in age to her.
How can you tell?
You just can.
That's
It-
oh yes, his
Uh,
therapist looks extra like waxy today. Like, oh, he definitely looks so much younger and like
it's his
healthy.
hot, sexy
You know, I never really
voice.
thought about it, but is this like the
Exactly.
first bad fanfic night where we have the author here?
No,
It's not
well,
true.
we
No,
have
no,
read
ve-
Lupa's.
About
very
their
not.
decisions?
Very not. This is the
We've-
first bad fanfic night where we've had the author and we knew it was the author.
From the very
Yes.
There
beginning.
you go.
Mupa has sent in one of her fanfics before. She just
One
didn't tell
actually
us.
bad one from years ago.
Ooh.
It was
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
was
I
a good
probably
time.
wasn't there then.
Yeah, no,
Oh.
she got mad at me when I went to investigate who wrote this, and I
You
said that.
That's fine.
spoiled it.
No sp-
No, I didn't, because we were all confused.
It was
If I recall,
great
it was
because
one of 3 different catfics.
it was 3 different fics that all had the same like, and we started doing some digging like live, like we gotta figure out who this author is and figure out whether, and like Mupa was being weirdly coy, and we kept asking her questions, and eventually there was just this breaking moment where it's like, it was me, Austin, it was me.
Exactly.
The call was coming from within the house.
I didn't want anyone to know my secret.
Well, no, she kind of did. Like, it was a whole thing. It was like just
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's funny.
Yeah, the thing that she got upset about was
You looked at my fucking author page on Onemode and you found the fic that I wrote for one of the fireside chats where I referenced Celtic specifically, and you were like,
yes.
you don't know her, but she knows you. And that was the what moment. That was when I immediately started saying, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up.
Yeah.
And for the record, she knows what she's writing here. Like, this is
Oh,
Yes.
very much.
This is
She knows what she
very
did.
self-aware.
Yeah, it wasn't like that Ruby Ozpin fic that we read where she was trying to do something interesting and like in earnest.
Failing badly because I didn't have enough self-awareness.
I mean,
that's
you
fine.
had partial self-awareness. Awareness enough to not be like, no, I'm gonna write this like legitimately because I find it interesting and want to write it like as anyone else who would write this thing. No, I'm trying to write it as though I'm better than everyone else. I don't know.
Yeah. it was an attempt at an artistic foray, but man, was I not savvy enough with my own mental issues to handle it.
Oh dear.
But now
like
we're
this thing.
all in the green and we're having a good time, having fun, playing in the
Right.
playground that Kiara Lee Phoenix has provided us.
Yep. And
Yeah,
one
my- my
day,
favorite-
And it's on
my
fire.
fa- My favorite part about the catfic was that it made me pull up like a video editing program and make this in like 6 minutes as fast as I
God
can.
fucking damn.
Will this properly show up on stream? Let me see if I can.
Hell no, I ain't gonna date you. God damn it, you're 14 years old.
You know, if only I'd maintained that tone.
I think I remember that fanfic now, actually.
yeah.
It was a wild one.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh.
Also, I think that's a pretty good place for us to end for the night. I mean, it's like the end of a big climactic moment going into whatever happens in the hospital. Hospital mates, that name gives me many concern.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think one more chapter would actually be good because it's like the falling action.
Oh, okay. I can push through them. We can push through.
Sure.
Yes.
It's only been an hour.
Yeah.
We're good.
Hospital mates. Kara relaxed into her flower petal hospital bed. The ointment the doctors put on her skin cooled to the point of almost stinging. Her burns were superficial, equivalent to if she'd spent a day at the beach without sunscreen. In some curtained off beds, there were ants with far worse. Katie sat in the bed next to hers, the doctors examining his wings. One of them had been severely injured, the filaments in dark glassy tissue dented and crumpled. You say a gust of wind knocked you to the ground and you landed on a rack and that's how your wings became like this? The doctor asked. Yeah, My bad luck that I happened to land in the middle of the fire, Katie said.
God.
He glanced at Kiara, although I suppose it's not all that bad. I'm so happy I chose this voice for him.
So mad.
Why does your voice sound like he's like tweaking off a crack?
Because
He's
it's
trying to do,
Beavis
like,
and
a Beavis
Butthead.
or Butthead.
Oh, that's what that is.
The doctor and nurse began to align splints to his wings and wrap it up. Well, you won't be able to get very far with your wing like this. It might be better if you stay on the island for a while until you recover. It sounds good to me. I didn't get to thank you earlier, Kiara said. She reached for the droplet of water that had been left on the tray at her bedside table. Thank you. Honestly, I don't know how I'll ever repay you. No need to repay me. Katie waved her off.
Okay.
Who wouldn't save such a beautiful damsel in distress? Kiara quirked a brow at him. Okay. Her reaction is far more justified with this voice.
Oh, now you get sus.
The doctor and nurse finished wrapping Katie's wings, and he closed his exo wing over it. He scooted a little closer, leaning forward. You know, I almost feel like it's destiny the two of us met. You're not like any girl I've ever met before. I'm not just talking about the fact you're a human girl the size of a bug. We should get to know each other better, don't you think?
Let's just gloss over the fact that you're a human girl.
Kiara's brows fell into a glare. Uh-huh. Unfortunately, I tend to be pretty busy, so I doubt we'll have much time for each other. You don't think you could try and make time? No.
Oh, no.
He drew back a little, blinking. You don't want to get to know me at all? Even though I rescued you? You would have died without me. And I'm grateful. She sat up and grabbed one end of her bed's curtains. And I also recall you saying I didn't have to pay you back. With a sharp swish, she drew the curtain between them. His shadow on the other side was still for a moment. Then he sat back with a disgruntled huff.
There's the stopping point.
There we go.
Oh, so now she knows how to say no. Why not?
For
do
the
that to
record,
like,
I
don't
get
know,
the feeling
Flick
that
or
if this-
Ratigan or like
Don't you
literally
see?
anyone else.
No, don't you see? It's because he's the same age as her.
Yeah. Also,
Oh,
the
that's smart,
Oh, no.
actually. Oh.
I kind of feel like this would be the guy that Mike Can sympathizes with if we were to end like the story here. Just saying.
No.
Especially with my
Because you
portrayal.
get a weird voice.
No, but then
I
Mike would
tried
have to kill
to
him and
get
make
away
Kiara
from-
sad about it.
All right. So now we'll wind down. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all had a good time. This was a I love this fic. It's just so goofy.
Hey, how many viewers do we have on the YouTube live stream right now?
18, which might
We
include
had
a
a
lot
peak
of
of
people
over
here.
30.
All
So that
right.
means there were 30 viewers that can join the Patreon for $1 or more and gain
God
access to
God
the
damn it,
Tundra server.
Alpha Beta, make it however your name is. God damn it, don't. It's my job.
The
I-
do your
So,
job.
Then why aren't you doing it?
Because I'm
Damn.
still winding down, man. I'm having my final comments.
You
I was
stick
about to
with
say,
words.
Well,
I wish we still had more Zoidberg, but not to expect any more of that.
Yeah, and I hope, Raymond, that you remember who you gave the Zoidberg voices to next time.
I gave Zoidberg's voice to Zoidberg.
Yeah.
I hope to
Yeah,
God
Yeah,
he
like-
uses a different voice for
unlike
Zoidberg
every
next
other
Yeah, but
time.
you
character
also
in
give
this?
it to like 10 different characters across 10 different fics, and then you sometimes forget who you gave
I
it
know,
to.
but like unlike a lot of other things, I'm actually really familiar with Futurama. So like I actually have all their voices in my head pretty well grounded. So I can
Well,
keep them
you
straight
know,
for sure.
We got time till the next bad fanfiction night. I think you can familiarize yourself with The Lion King 2 now. I don't.
And Bird's Voice.
I familiarize myself with Lion King 2, not any of the other relevant stories.
No,
You
no,
gotta-
yeah,
you
just
gotta
just
start
Lion
doing
King
Goku's
2.
voice. You gotta start doing
Bugs
Goku's
Life.
voice.
Listen, it's one thing per bad fanfiction night. All right, you can't be going too hard.
Okay. Well, let's
No, just
wind
Morpheus.
this down. Thank you all so much for watching. For everyone watching the YouTube live stream, remember you too can get into the Tundra for $1 or more to my Patreon. Join us here, along with a bunch of other YouTube creators such as Twilight Guardian and Fat Man Falling. where we regularly interact with the people here in the Tundra. It's great. It's a good time, and you can join in on bad fan fiction nights. As I've probably repeated myself multiple times there, I'm going to just stop that ad read and pretend that I did a good job. Thank you all so much for watching us, and we'll catch you all on the flip side.
Bye
Good night, everybody.
What is the flip side?
Make sure to come back next week to see if Raymond thought Simba or Kovu was the hot one.
Ooh.